Welcome back, everyone.
Back.
We are here with the founders of Leveler.info, our collaborators for today's fundraising festival. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hey,
What's happening? How y'all feeling?
pretty good.
Good.
oh,
Changed my shirt since this morning. I'm a
You're
new.
going to take us through like a step-by-step kind of tutorial moment on how to get involved through your website, correct?
Yeah, I mean the tutorial. The great part about Leveler is that it's so simple. So the tutorial is like 5 seconds long.
Love it.
It's good. I mean, we'll still be informed and
Yeah.
Before we get started, sorry to interrupt. Can you just give us a quick breakdown about what Leveler is, what its mission and purpose is, just kind of so everyone who's watching knows before we jump in.
Absolutely. So the purpose of Leveler is that it's a tool to facilitate wealth redistribution. It was created during COVID, right at the beginning, when people in the creative community, 1099ers, freelancers, gig workers, started getting laid off, en masse. And at that point, they weren't eligible for unemployment. And what happened was the day the city shut down, we're in New York. The day the city shut down, I started noticing that people were posting things like GoFundMe's and all types of things on Facebook about gigs getting canceled, tours getting canceled. So it really was this sort of concerning moment because it started to feel like, oh shit, this is going to become a competition between people who would otherwise be standing in solidarity with one another. So basically, yeah, we put them all in a database together and created this community. That way, any outreach that was done on behalf of the community would benefit the community at large.
Awesome.
And it's proven to be very effective because it has that person-to-person direct distribution of wealth that you guys have set up.
Right, and it's growing. The pace at which the recipient side grows is not always equal to the pace at which the donation side is growing. So we're definitely doing what we can right now to raise awareness for people who can give money, because there are people on the database who haven't seen anything yet, and then there are people who have seen quite a few transactions. So I'll just show you guys how it works really quickly. You guys can see my screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to leveler.info, it works better on a phone because Venmo doesn't work on a laptop. So all you have to do is click distribute, and it pulls up these cards that have just a little sentence from the person who's on the database. And you just click that and you send them money. And you can do that. There's 5 people chosen at a time.
And that will link directly from your Venmo to their Venmo account.
Yep.
Wow.
So it's
there's
similar.
also,
Go ahead.
sorry, there's also PayPal and Cash App.
Okay,
So yeah, it just depends which platform people want to use.
That's great.
So when you click on the V, it doesn't take you to their Venmo, or they can designate like whether it's PayPal or Cash App.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can choose. I'll show you. So the receive side, if you want to be on the database, you click receive. You just fill out really easy questions. We don't collect a ton of information from people. And then you submit it and you're on the database.
Wow.
Great.
So yeah,
we
we started.
It's very simple to navigate, which is really good.
Yeah, there's not much going on except transacting, which is the whole point, you know? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
building muscle memory for people. So, you know, I think we have an opportunity right now to show folks that you can redistribute some of your wealth
Yeah.
without going broke, you know?
Right.
And it's really easy to,
Help one another out.
yeah, pretty much. So we started as this tool for freelancers in the creative community, and it started expanding because people from other mutual aid networks were reaching out about doing something similar or using the tool that we already built. And so we launched this create your own leveler feature.
Love.
Um, and the whole idea of this is that you can make your own leveler domain,
Wow.
which is for you and your group and your community or the community that you represent or are advocating for.
Yeah.
And members of that community can be on the recipient list, and then people can donate specifically to that community.
That's very brilliant. And speaking of like building, was there an outline that you kind of like drew inspiration from, Samuel, when you were thinking of putting together the website and how this would kind of come into actuality?
Um, not really, to be honest. It started as a like a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So
Word.
quickly, yeah. So quickly, it grew to about, I don't know, 1,500 people who were the recipients, and so like basically, Alessandra called me, told me about the idea, and I started working on, you know, I said this should be a website. And basically, like the original was, it was just a web page. You'd click a button and it would take you to entries in the spreadsheet.
Right.
And then we were thinking about how do you get off the Google spreadsheet, because you know it's kind of
Yeah.
not a great experience.
How do you make it
so
accessible to everyone so that anyone can just log on and be like, oh, these are the people that I want to donate to, or this is me, I want to receive funds. And that's really brilliant. So you just kind of went with a template and then evolved into something.
Well, the
yeah,
spreadsheet, the idea of the spreadsheet, like it could work if people follow direction, but the, you know, at the end of the day, you can't force anyone to do anything. You can suggest this is how you should donate. And the way we had it was we made group numbers for every 5 people, and then we would assign a group number to a donor, be like, this is your group. But my fear was that people were going to skim through the database and look for people they know.
Right.
Only the first 10 people on it were going to get hit because people didn't want to scroll all the way down, which is why Sam implemented the algorithm that we're using, which pulls up the entries.
Of the specific people that the organization that you would want to donate to.
Well, if you're on, so
well, it's random. So there's like about 6,000 people now signed up, and basically when you press a button, we hit 5 random entries and show those 5. So
Oh.
it's as random as we could make it, basically.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So why is it important that we learn how to redistribute our wealth on this level, on a very like person to person level?
well, I mean, I think that if there ever was a time to kind of start implementing more cooperative principles into our society, it would be now. And I mean, the idea of being able to help your neighbor without having to go through the sort of like traditional bureaucratic channels of giving money to charity
Yeah.
This is just a really direct way. It's the most direct. I mean, the only more direct thing would be like
Physically.
someone cash.
Yeah.
Money. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. And I think we were discussing a little bit before that it kind of takes away like the saviorism aspect of it a little bit, right? And instead of, yeah, before it was like, oh, I'm doing this for charity. I feel good about me.
No, no.
No, I'm doing
Solidarity.
this. Yeah.
Solidarity, not charity.
Okay, yes, with the phrases today.
Yeah, I think
Anything.
charity is really a weird. It's tough because obviously there's charities do good.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't, but I also think that sometimes the idea of charity is a little bit of a like it has violent classist undertones attached to it.
Absolutely.
And in order, I think, for us to be able to start seeing more progressive policy, there really needs to be like a class solidarity.
Right.
And so eliminating that charitable act from the picture, then you're also eliminating the expectation from the recipient that they have to grovel or be grateful for this thing that they already deserve. Like getting your basic needs met is a born right. It's not something you should have to earn. And on the distribution side, from people who are giving, you're kind of like corroding that sense of entitlement that comes from like dropping,
Yeah.
This like privileged philanthropy aspect that is
Right. Right. Because I think people justify like a lot or say, okay, my work is done because I did this or did that.
but there's no true like intention, connectivity of like, I want to give this, like there's no actual relationship there. And I think that this is an effective way for people to receive funds in a way that isn't, like you said, it's not like this elitist form of like giving thanks or, feeling like they can donate to people that are
Yeah, because you do have to do the work, and you do have to like look at the person you're giving money to. Like, I'm sending it to you on PayPal. Like, all right, like we got each other. We can bail each other out, you know.
Exactly.
And so I guess I also want to bring up, I'll let Sam talk about it, but that's kind of why we also launched this resources page.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that, which I thought was really interesting about Levelers, that you have this resources page of guiding principles, right?
Well, so we have our guiding principles. That's just like what we try to follow, like when we're like thinking about features and stuff like that. But the resources page it's community run, so anyone can contribute to it. And we're hoping that the resources page can be a place where people can find out about other funding opportunities that are outside of Leveler, or meet each other or organize. It's not like a social.
You said it was more like Reddit based, right? Like that kind of thing, like a forum.
Yeah.
More than anything.
I like that, like a forum for
Yeah.
wealth distribution.
I think we're like out of time, right?
Are we?
I don't know. But if we're not, I just want to kind of.
Another 15 minutes, I think.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
No, please don't leave.
I just
Bye.
okay, bye.
You know what the cool thing is that like Leveler doesn't like, we're not a part of the transaction. So like I could literally be like, bye, and then no one can be like, you went off with my money. Because
Right.
like touch your money.
Well, that's actually what I was just gonna bring up, is that sometimes when you're donating to different places, you don't know. I mean, like anyone could just make like, oh, I'm blah blah blah, and you don't know if they're actually donating all of the proceeds or whatever. You have to really look into what organizations you're dealing with. And so the great thing about Leveler is that it kind of takes away that mystery, I guess, and makes it more direct, which I think makes a huge difference.
You're
Even
just
if you're donating,
facilitating
like
space, I feel like, for
15
people to
bucks, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of is a model that takes out this patronizing tone that some organization knows better what a person
Yeah.
needs than the person themselves. And there's been a lot of studies. There's a nonprofit called Kiva, I believe, and they basically pioneered microlending. This is about 10 years or so, and they basically did studies where um, they tested the efficacy of just lending farmers small amounts of money, well, relatively small, under Western standards, small amounts of money
Yeah.
versus, what a charity does. And it was remarkably effective to lend a farmer in, I don't know, well, I think it was done in India. So it was very effective to lend farmers $500, you know,
Yeah.
and they'd come back a year later and they'd see the results. And those loans, the repayment was really good. It was very, very successful. So I think, I mean, yeah, it's just a model that is, I think, more effective. Simply,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously, at scale, maybe you might want to do things differently, but people know what they need, and we, I think this takes out the judgment and also the patronizing
Yeah.
sort of aspect, and lets people just get what they need and directly, and that's that. So
Absolutely. And it highlights too that small acts matter. I feel like,
Mm.
and I don't know, I mean, I'm just going to speak on it as a white person. Like, white people have felt the need to make big grand gestures to show that, I don't know, to try to show that they care or something, and they're afraid if they don't make a big gesture then they're not doing anything. And I think that doing what you can and like a little every day helps. It helps in a much larger way than just one big act every once in a while.
Yeah, I think this is a good way for us to like be humble, um, and just like do something.
Work. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to show us the resources page?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So people have just been adding to this. So the resources page is essentially going to be a funnel for all of our different micro communities. So anybody that starts a leveler, they can add their own resources, and those resources will all be
Oh,
pulled together here. So on the resources page, you can not only find resources, but you can also discover like sub levelers. So for instance, an organizer, an activist in DC, started a BIPOC LGBTQ.leveler.info.
awesome.
And so the resources that they add will be added to our main page resources. So right now, this is the BIPOC LGBTQ leveler. And the link is just BIPOCLGBTQ.leveler.info. So if you're a member of that community and you want to be on the recipient list, please go to that URL and sign up by clicking receive. As soon as we get enough people for our algorithm to work, we will turn the distribute button on. And we don't run this leveler on the admin side. This is run by a member of the community in DC, and so it's really up to whoever is adminning their own leveler to be also the advocate of that as well. And that's why we created micro communities. It was really because we wanted to really just have a tool that like people could take and then do whatever they want to do with. Like it's only going to work as much as the people who are on it and the people who are advocating for it are willing to
Make it
like
work.
share it. Yeah. Because everyone's on it together, right? The more people are on it, obviously, the more donors you need.
Yeah. I love it. It's communities cultivating coin, honey.
Yeah.
You know?
Magnolia, you are on a roll today.
Write that down. I'm just like,
I'm like,
no, but I think it's definitely it's so special, and I love that you teamed up with Shipping to do this today, because it's informing everyone that's watching about this incredible platform, and if they want to raise funds for a cause, that they have your platform to do it.
Yeah, I would say, like, if someone would ask, what is the like, what's the ideal use case for a leveler, or like, why would I need to start a leveler? It works really well in those situations where, like, maybe you have a mutual aid fund and you're using GoFundMe, and then you're having to do the administrative work from the GoFundMe to like distribute money to people that you're pooling together. Leveler, instead of centralizing all of that, it's decentralized. So you're not distributing the money to anybody. You're just asking those people to put their name on it, and then the money is going directly from donors to them. So Leveler is really good if you're trying to fundraise for groups of people.
Right. And make sure that they receive the funds directly from the people that want to donate to the specific organization. It's brilliant. I mean, I'm all for it. I love it.
Well, I hope you make, I hope everybody makes one.
Yes, I mean, yes, for sure.
I'm like, fuck, you know, if the government isn't gonna bail us out, like, literally fuck them.
I mean, we really only have one
fuck
another.
them.
Yeah. I mean, fuck the government in general. Like, I mean, the system is fucked, period. But I think it's so incredible that we have people like y'all who are coming together to create things like this, because it helps everyone kind of see the bigger picture of it all and see it in a community aspect, and it's wonderful.
We need to start recognizing our interdependence on each other, you know?
Yes.
And mutual aid is a really good way to do that. And, you know, I think practicing these types of things in your daily life, it brings us closer to like self-governing, which I am a fan of.
It's a whole new level of awareness, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, think about like paying taxes. You don't know where that money is going.
Exactly.
And it's going to all sorts of shit that you don't like.
It's funding the police.
Yeah.
So I mean, trying to come up with models that would circumvent that kind of structure. I don't know. I think Leveler is kind of about thinking how the world could be if we got rid of these structures that aren't really serving us anymore, or maybe never were. But
this is the part where we talk about burning it all down.
Burn it down, sis.
I didn't know we were going there, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, Sam's right. Essentially, like, we want to build tools that will power the revolution. And if saying that we're building tools to power the revolution means like giving people access to be able to Venmo each other, then like it's not going to be that fucking hard to power the revolution.
And clearly that's a huge flaw within our system, if that's, you know, the case, if people feel like that's an issue to redistribute wealth, you know.
But we should, you know, like you have to, I think that you have to get the masses to adopt a certain behavior before you'll be able to push policy through that reflects that behavior. Like, it has to be familiar to people. So when people hear about things like reparations and they get like, it's like,
Right.
no, like it's not a complicated concept.
Right.
Here's like, you need muscle memory to build muscle memory around what it looks like to be like giving and not you know, you're not going to lose your house because you're
Right. Abundance is infinite. I tell everyone all the time, abundance is infinite, y'all. Like, share your goddamn resources with whoever it is that you can. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only way for people to help one another out.
I wanted to say though, because we were talking earlier, before when I was mentioning if there was like a sex workers leveler community or something like that, that the payment information is connected to that. So if you don't want to be outed as a sex worker, if that ever gets created or whatever, or you don't want to be outed as anything, make sure you're using a safe PayPal or Venmo.
Yeah, like a proxy address that isn't connected to your.
Yeah, I mean, also we want to build blockchain integration. So if people start learning how to use crypto or already do, then that's a lot. It's a lot better in terms of not in terms of hiding people's identities, because then it's just a mess of numbers and letters, and no one knows where it's going.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah.
So what are you hoping that the future of Leveler will be? What do you guys see?
I hope that that communities start making their own, even like causes, like if there's a natural disaster or something, that someone could create a leveler for that event, so that people get helped. And obviously I want to see a lot of money go through the system, and for people to get financial help, but also on the resources page, I would like to see communities come together and just start talking, because I mean, most people are talking about everything that's going on right now on Instagram, and that's great. But there's Instagram wasn't necessarily made for activism per se, and I don't
Right.
know. I think this is more of a place for people. Like, if you're already drawn to Leveler, then you have a certain mind frame, and I think this is a good place for people to congregate within a certain mind frame and start talking about ideas or taking political action, helping each other in non-monetary ways. So yeah, I would like to see a lot of communities spring up and come together, basically, just
Start
connect
that.
people.
Yeah, and I think for me, my number one priority is just like using Leveler as a vehicle to put new like frameworks into people's heads. Like, to me, mutual aid is like a no-brainer. Like, it's always been part of kind of my vernacular. But for a lot of people, it's not. And those people that it's not, those people that are kind of waking up right now, they're the ones, like, I want to provide something that makes it familiar for them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for teaming up with Shipping and for creating this awesome resource and everything that y'all are doing. This is so cool.
Thank
For
you
this
guys.
self-
And
Thank you for having us.
watching, you should give money to the Black Trans Travel Fund
Absolutely.
right now.
Thank
Do
you.
it
Thank
now.
Yeah.
you. Today. All day.
Thank you guys.